All right, I call the March 10th, 2022 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. First on the business is mail. I don't think we have any mail, do we? Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, so we'll take them up individually, I guess. So we have a January 19th, 2022 minutes.
Motion to approve the January 19, 2022 minutes.
Is there a second? Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Then we have February 3rd, 2022 minutes.
Motion to approve the February 3rd, 2022 virtual meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Then we have the February 10th,
Mr. Chairman,
22 minutes.
if I could ask that before the minutes get approved, that my name is incorrectly associated on several line items as Richard Manning as opposed to Robert Manning. I'd like to have that changed as part of the approval.
So noted. Oh, these are February 10th minutes.
February 10th minutes, I vote to approve.
With that amendment.
With that amendment, the February 10th minute with the amendment of Richard Manning to Robert Manning on all associated fields.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Can we just go back to the February 3rd minutes? That was an executive session. So can we just have an amendment that they not be released until all matters are resolved?
So designated.
Okay, so that's to change that. The February 3rd, 2022 minutes are approved, but not to be released until all matters are resolved. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That's fine, okay. And then we have the February 17th, 2022 minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve these minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous, okay. So that takes us through that. And first on the agenda is the continued hearing of Rick Montgomery, 75 Dale Street.
Because we individually voted on
And they've asked for a continuance. I guess they're still dealing with conservation.
it. On Dale Street?
Yeah. And they've submitted a request here in writing for another 30-day extension.
How many times is this now that it's been 5?
It's been a few, probably 2 or 3.
Are we okay with that? Is it everything?
As long as
is it
they're
all
agreeing
legal,
to
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
basically?
Yep.
Are you within your days?
Oh, from the initial
Yeah,
filing?
Did they extend the days to act, or did they just ask for a continuance?
Extend time for action.
Okay, then
For
you're
30,
fine.
for another 30 days, yeah. Do we have a motion?
Motion to continue the meeting at 75 Dale Street to our next meeting, which will be when? Please and thank you. April 14th
We'll
at
say,
75 Dale Street
yep, that's 7:05, we'll say, okay.
at 7:05 p.m.
So that's Bob's motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, that's unanimous. Okay. Next on the agenda, Mento Corporation, 154 Brockton Avenue. I'm going to read the notice here. Zoning Board of Appeals, public hearing notice. The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 10th, 2022 at 7:10 p.m. at the Abington Town Offices, 500 Glenowitz Way, Abington, on the petition of Mento Corporation, 1157 Washington Street, Braintree, for variances under Section 175.25.1 and 175.29 regarding relief of 10 feet front setback requirement at 154 Brockton Avenue. The property is located on Assessors Map 15, Lot 52, in the Highway Commercial Zone. Andrew Burbine, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals. Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you identify
Kevin Riley,
yourself?
on behalf of the Mento Corporation, the applicant.
What was the name again?
Kevin Riley,
Kevin Riley.
attorney from Randolph. We're here to ask the board this evening to issue a variance, as you mentioned, for property at 154 Brockton Ave, which is Route 123, of course, from the provisions actually of 175-29 of the bylaws, which would allow the applicant to construct a two-family dwelling on a lot of approximately 24,000 square feet, but with a front yard setback of 30 feet rather than the 40-foot requirement. A couple of you, I think, would remember perhaps that I was here last year. Mr. Burbine has gotten a promotion, it appears, since then.
I don't know if you'd refer to it as that, but
Well, I was here last year, as I say, and I asked for, and the board was good enough to grant a special permit for the construction of that two-family dwelling on that premises with some minor conditions attached. Subsequent, the applicant did obtain a building permit and set about removing the house and the accessory structures which had been located on the lot. Following the start of that process, in the excavation of the foundation for the new dwelling, a question was raised as to whether there were wetlands on the site such that a notice of intent would have to be filed with the Conservation Commission. Ultimately, it was determined that an NOI was appropriate since the water course, I'll call it, which you see on the westernmost rear corner of the lot, should have been classified differently than it was originally thought to be. So work on the project was stopped, filing was made with the Conservation Commission. We've appeared before them, we actually appeared before them 2 nights ago, and hope to have their approval by way of the issuance of an order of conditions at their next meeting, which is on the 22nd of this month. So the different classification of the water course created an issue with respect to the new dwelling as far as the building envelope of the site was concerned. That building envelope was considerably reduced from what we had before. And you can see on the plan that was submitted, both the wetlands buffer and the riverfront zone line that do impact this project. So the result is that we're required to move the building on sort of an east-west location back to essentially where the old structure was. You recall that we had attempted to center it much more on the lot and also to push it back somewhat so that it was in a much better location. But we are now able to move it farther back than what it was, but we can't meet the 40-foot requirement given the restrictions of caused by the wetlands and proximity. So, as you can see, we're now set back exactly 30 feet from the line of the street, which, compared to what it was, is a net improvement of approximately 15 feet. Other than that, the building that we presented to you would be the same design, same ideas. The only zoning relief that's required under these changed circumstances is the front yard setback. Everything else is compliant. In terms of specific criteria required for the issuance of a variance, I'd say a couple of things. First of all, as I've mentioned, the restrictions that are created by the wetlands area are peculiar to this site, and those prevent us from satisfying the setback requirement in 175-29. If the relief that we're asking for at this point is not granted, obviously applicant faces a substantial financial hardship in that the lot essentially becomes not buildable. The only way to otherwise address it would be to seek a sideline variance, which we might be able to accomplish, but that would still, a variance of some sort would still be required, given the vastly reduced building. As I suggested the last time, I think that if the relief that we're seeking is granted, this proposed development would certainly result in a significant improvement to the premises and its surroundings, so a benefit rather than a detriment to the public good. And I would also suggest that granting the relief would be consistent with the intent and purpose of the bylaws as they are drafted. So with that, certainly happy to take any questions and ask for your support in approving this petition.
Any questions from any board members at this point?
Did this, you broke ground for the foundation on this property?
Correct.
And did it not fill up with water completely? And has it not been frozen for the entire time since you dug the hole with frozen water in it?
I would say that over the course of last summer, the property was acquired, building permits were obtained, demolition permits were obtained, and a foundation hole was dug. At that point, a stop work order was issued by the Conservation Commission. That's where it's been.
Okay.
Yeah, I just noticed that there's a lot of water in there, and
Yep. It will be, the water that's there now would be removed by way of off-site.
is this right here the old plan? Because I don't see the old plan, is that what you brought in front of us before?
correct.
And what about parking? Where are you gonna put the parking now?
Parking would be basically in the same, it was if you may know the site, there was some paved area out in front of what was, I believe, a print shop. So that parking and that asphalt area would be changed only by way of the elimination of the narrow driveway that led immediately into the garage. Other than that, that paved area would be retained, and that would be your parking for 6 vehicles, which is what's required.
Any other questions from any board members?
Just a quick note, it looked like there might have been a typo on the drawing, that this 1554 Brockton Ave rather than 154. That's a minor thing.
Do you wanna go over what?
Yeah, I'm going to open it up to the public. Is there anybody here to speak on this particular petition? If not, we'll bring it back to the board. I don't know, Amy, do you have any questions? No? Okay. Rich, I don't have that handy. Do you have it? From the building inspector?
You got it?
Yeah.
Send it back, send it out. Is there any rights of way or anything that would impact the 30-foot distance from the road versus 40? Any easements or right of way along the?
There are no, other than what I'll call the water course on the western side of the property, there are no other easements or the like.
Okay.
However, the problem is the configurations of both the 100-foot wetlands buffer and the 200-foot riverfront zone line, which show on the plan, basically limit us to the top right corner of the property, really, in
Right.
terms of development.
So the building inspector usually gives us comments
Sure.
regarding each of these. So one comment that I see, they had a couple, but you kind of hit upon most of them. The petitioner is requesting a variance of zoning bylaw 175-25.1. Why is the petitioner filing for a variance under this particular zoning bylaw?
I actually think that should not have been filed that
That was
way.
an error.
I would certainly agree with him in
Got it.
that. This is not a non-conforming situation that is contemplated under that bylaw, section of the bylaw.
Do we have any more questions from the board? If not, I guess we can close the hearing. If you want to make a motion to...
Make a motion to close it to second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So this being a variance, it'll be the 3 regular members voting, and this takes a unanimous vote. And as we have been instructed many times, variances are difficult to get. I know Attorney Riley knows that. It has to be based on soil conditions, topography, shape of the lot. And I think, based upon the fact that they're within this riverfront zone, that has something to do with topography, I would say.
Right.
Topography and/or soil, however you want to.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
would anything from the Conservation Commission change that finding? Any finding from them as far as the water is concerned?
No, that's a separate issue for us, I think.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that would have no effect on this variance being issued?
No.
Okay.
So again, I do think this is, at least it meets that particular criteria for a variance. And then as far as the hardship goes, Attorney Riley explained what the hardship would be, so.
Put a much smaller structure and no structure on
Hmm.
it. They'd still need, they can move
They
over
may-
further and get a
They
side
need-
setback.
Exactly, they need something on the side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen with the special permit? That just is dissolved if you approve it?
No, they'd still, the special permit still stays in existence because they
Okay.
needed that to get
To get
to this point.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So they needed a variance from the special permit then?
No, they just needed, because of the fact that now they've discovered this wetlands issue, they need to get a variance so they're not as far back as they should be because of the 40-foot setback.
Special permit was just limited to the fact of being able to construct a 2-family.
Okay.
So does anybody want to make a motion on this particular
Do
petition?
we need to cite those conditions that have to be met for a special permit
No,
or just a variance?
just a variance with the special permit.
And the variant has to do with the topography,
Shape of the lot, soil conditions.
and they call all of them right now.
I think probably so.
I move that we approve a variance to allow them to be 30 feet from Brockton Avenue at this property on 154 Brockton, have a proposed structure on 154 Brockton Ave, based on the topography of the lot, the shape of the lot, and the impact of both wetlands and the riverfront zone that they discovered during the course of digging the initial foundation. And basically that gets down to the soil conditions they found there. So, again, I move that we approve this request for a variance based on the topography, shape of the lot, and the soil conditions as impacted by the riverfront zone and wetlands on the corner of the property.
Okay. Can I just ask you to maybe reference this plan? This is to be built in accordance with the,
Okay, to be built in accordance with the revised site plan. When was this submitted to us?
you can just say the dated January 7th.
Oh, dated January 7th, 2022.
Yeah, that's fine, I think.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
In a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, gentlemen, much appreciated.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
I know.
Show all these crinkling papers.
Yeah.
Great.
Right along.
Okay.
Sorry.
Next on the agenda is Matthew Giannini, 35 Rice Street. And I'm just going to read the notice. Zoning Board of Appeals, public hearing notice. The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 10th, 2022, at 7:15 PM at the Abington Town Offices, 500 Glenowitz Way, Abington, on the petition of Matthew Giannini, 35 Rice Street, for a finding per Chapter 40A, Section 6, for a 2-foot overhang on a second-floor addition. The property is located on Assessors Map 4, Lot 203, in the R30 zone. Andrew Burbine, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Giannini,
How you doing?
just introduce yourself.
I am Matthew Giannini. I
Your
live
address?
at 35 Rice Street in
Thanks.
Abington.
And just give us a synopsis of what you're looking for.
So I'm looking to put a second floor on my house right now, which is a small 740 square foot house. I have 2 children, one on the way, so the extra square footage for that 2-foot bump out would help a lot, so that's why I do that. And every house in my neighborhood has that 2-foot bump out, that has the second floor on it, so just.
What is the setback requirement?
What's that?
What's the setback requirement for R30? Is it,
Well, this is for a finding, so
is what?
this is not a variance or a special
Right.
permit, but it's a finding.
The only thing that we've gone through before is, and this is probably doesn't apply to you, because usually it's, the building will be off to a different side, but the 2-foot out from the house, we just want to make sure it doesn't disturb any water flow or anything with the neighbors.
Oh, yeah, no.
But I do see it's going across the street, it's not going either way to your neighbor,
Yeah.
it's coming right off the roof.
Exactly.
So 2 feet facing forward.
The street, yep.
We did have a problem one time where someone built something close to the property line, and that 2 feet was, impinging on
You away from it.
impinging on the neighbor, and
Yep.
we had water problems, so
Gotcha.
that's a good thing. And the addition, when did you come for the addition, the in-law?
2 years ago, maybe?
Okay,
Yep.
all right, because it
Yeah,
looks
I had to
very
go for a
good. Came out
variance.
really good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did.
Very good job.
But now you have that house there, and I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it would look a little funny if it was just like a
Yeah, it'd
flat-
probably look
flat
better if
piece.
it was, yeah. The
You know.
only thing about the water in this town.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And the bathrooms and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a bathroom,
Yep.
there's no water, or they're studying the water.
Yeah, I've been drinking the water for 34 years, so.
Yeah, well,
So-
it's just that we have a shortage of water. and
Oh,
they're
yeah,
trying to
it's
fix it.
shortage, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the bathroom. There is a bathroom, Ian?
There's one bathroom on the first floor.
Because you really didn't
I'm
give us
hoping to add a
any
second
real
bathroom.
plans of we didn't get any plans.
Yeah, I gave him 6 copies.
Oh, did you? I didn't see
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, there's a
Is
bathroom.
it this one here, or this
I don't
one?
know.
It should be, it's probably bigger. Yeah, that
You
one.
got these?
All right, I do have them, thank you. All right, let's take a look. Oh, there is a bathroom, yeah.
No, why is it non-conforming? What's the non-conformity? Is
Oh,
it-
there, no,
is
no,
it-
I was just,
Is it lot
just,
area, is it setback?
there's no, this is for a finding, right?
Right, so it's
Yeah.
already non-conforming, so
already-
what
Right.
makes it non-conforming?
Well, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying the 2-foot section, sometimes we have a problem.
No, I'm just wondering
I
what the
think the lot
non-conformity
size
is.
is
Lot
what makes
size,
it
probably, okay.
non-conforming, yeah, because they built these before zoning, I guess, because of the things.
What's the lot size?
7,000, I think.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's what it is, okay.
All right, so this is first floor.
And what about your front setback? Do you meet the front setback, do you know?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be on the second floor, so I don't think it, does it require that?
Yeah, so your front setback would be, what do you, your R30 or R20? What'd you say?
I think it was 30.
R30,
30.
35 feet, are you 35 feet from the street?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, the house was existing.
Is there a plot plan?
Yes.
Can I see that? Anything like that? Thank you. I got it, Cassie. Oh, no, do you have is there a plot plan showing your setbacks and everything?
Yeah, it should be a,
It's over here?
no, it was on a
Oh,
different.
that,
Oh,
thank you. Okay, so you are, so you're non-conforming with regard to lot size, so, all right, okay, are you ready? It's gonna be a whole list of things. So you're non-conforming to lot size, you're non-conforming to width, you're non-conforming to, frontage, you're non-conforming to your front setback, you do meet your rear setback, and the side setbacks aren't shown, but
I had to
you
go for the
probably
rear,
are.
yeah, I had to
You're
go for a
probably not, well,
variance.
I don't know, on the left side you might make it.
So is he looking for a variance?
No, he's
No.
not,
Okay.
but, so what you guys have to figure out is if, this, this 2-foot overhang, which is going to make the front setback from 26.8 to 24.8, it's probably going to also increase, the maximum lot coverage. That's not calculated here, but I'm sure he's over it. So you have to decide if that 2-foot overhang is going to, somehow make this more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think the lot, so I think I was able to, like 18,000 square feet, and I'm actually under it, now like 17,060. Well, 1,760.
Yeah, not 17,000.
Yeah, like 1,700 is
So
what
you're
I'm taking up. Yeah,
1,700
so I'm
with
just
a-
under the.
With a 7,000 square foot
When
lot.
I add on, yeah,
Okay.
I'll be under,
Okay.
she was saying anyways.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's what you guys have to consider right now. Well, thank you, Cass. Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
the setback requirement, you basically put in the second story, it doesn't
But I
matter
wouldn't
what
think that
height
the
it is,
overhang
it
would
just-
add, it wouldn't add lot coverage.
No, it doesn't.
So, yeah,
Because it's up in the air,
yeah,
really. isn't it?
right.
Yeah.
So that's what you guys have to figure out.
Whether it's more detrimental or
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
this particular
Yeah.
2-foot extension.
And it looks like from the assessor's map, it looks like all of the lots in the neighborhood are that size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
The mirror image of each other.
yeah,
So if there's
Like
no
the
more
entire
questions,
neighborhood.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yep.
if there's no more questions here, I'm going to open it up to the public to see if there's any questions or comments from the public. Any questions or comments from the public on this particular petition? If not, we'll close it to the public and bring it back here. Any more questions for Mr. Giannini? No? Okay.
Pretty straightforward.
Can we have a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so again, this would be the 3 regular voting members voting on this, and this requires 2 out of 3, Amy?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
I drove by, I noticed there was, you said there was other houses that had the same
yeah.
basic layout, so it's,
It's a neighborhood that's tight, that's
Tight
for
like
sure,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
other houses have that same 2-foot, or look like 2 feet.
Yeah.
Layout, so it's not gonna change anything.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
I move that we find that the proposal to have a 2-foot overhang on a second story for the Giannini House at 35 Ray Street, we find that it is not detrimental to the neighborhood.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
A second, any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Next on the agenda is Abington Investments LLC, 1015 Plymouth Street. Again, I'll read the notice. Zoning Board of Appeals, public hearing notice. The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 10th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Abington Town Offices, 500 Glenwood's Way, Abington, on the petition of public hearing on an application filed by Abington Investments LLC for a substantial modification pursuant to 760 CMR 5605 11C to the comprehensive permit issued on November 19th, 2019 for the construction of a 144-unit restricted multifamily housing project at 1015 Plymouth Street in Abington. The property is located on Assessors Map 17 and 18 lots 23 and 6 in the R30 zone. The application includes changes to the building layout by merging 2 buildings into 1 building, parking revisions, an increase in bedrooms, and a requested revision to a condition regarding age restrictions. Andrew Burbine, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals. Who's here to, Mr. Bailey or, Mr. Lapointe tonight,
Thank you.
okay?
That makes sense.
Guys, Glenn LaPointe Jr., 311 Lincoln Street. I live in Abington. I don't know how many of you guys remember this project from before. I see some familiar faces and some new faces. So just a quick recap. We had come in, it was roughly 2 years ago, for 144 age-restricted units, which is off of Plymouth Street, which actually abuts the existing senior center. This project, it took a while to get approved. We went back and forth with the board looking for suggestions. We went back to the drawing board a number of different times trying to figure this out. Finally attained approval, started the process of getting funding and figuring out how exactly we were going to build this. You know, if we needed to partner with somebody who had been in this space before, the senior housing, it's new to us. So once we got started on this, COVID hit. So as we started, we got nervous as far as the building costs. Everything was going, you know, sky high. The uncertainty kind of caused us to kind of take a step back. And to be honest with you, I was nervous about putting our company in a difficult spot if we got this started, and then all of a sudden something happened, and I was having a hard time finishing it. So in the meantime, though, we had gone back and forth with a number of different people who would talk to us about you know, the age-restricted space and people that deal with that type of development. And to be honest with you, there's not a lot. Up and down the East Coast, we've had a number of different, you know, conversations. These changes that we're proposing are a culmination of us, you know, sitting down with a number of different financing boards, HUD being one of them, a number of different companies that we were looking for advice or partnership. These things that we're proposing were things that came up just about with every company. There was a number of different things that came up. Everybody has their own model, their own idea of what works for them, what you know, we kind of picked their brain, but these changes that we're asking for this were things that came up in just about everybody's, okay? One of the things is we're adding 2 bedrooms to the count. You know, the reason for that was, truthfully, a lot of people that are going to be taking these units are going to come from houses that they're selling. They're going to take the money from that, you know, and then downsize. The idea of moving into a 1-bedroom from a 3 or 4 bedroom house didn't seem appealing. And talking to, you know, a number of seniors even in Abington, same thing. The idea of coming from their own house to a small 1-bedroom, it doesn't give them a room for, you know, crafts. It doesn't give them a room for a den, a study, an office. And the feedback that we got was, you know, that they were afraid that, you know, these weren't going to be rentable. They weren't going to be things that people were going to, you know, want to spend their time in. So that's kind of where we headed with that. We're hoping that, you know, after sitting down with a number of Abington residents, everybody seemed to be in agreement with that. They'd much rather have the option to have a 2-bedroom unit. I wish I got that right on the first try. Honestly, I didn't. I don't think we're asking for too much to try to have that changed. We also had 2 separate buildings that were connected by bridges. Nobody liked that idea. Truthfully, every person that I sat down with, they wanted it to be one building with, in the center is going to be now more of a common area where you'd sit down, you could meet with people, you could congregate. They were talking about having like telehealth now, and a lot of these things have come up just due to COVID, you know. And within the last year, the idea of having like some areas where you could do a telehealth, you could do conferences and stuff like that in a common area seemed appealing to a lot of people. You know, the other thing was coming out of the COVID, the idea of, you know, people spent a lot of time in isolation. And, you know, frankly, if they were in a 1-bedroom unit, I think the isolation part of that played a kind of a key factor in, you know, moving forward, and they want the space. You know, if you're in there with a husband and you're in there with your wife, I don't care how well you get along, if you're in a 1-bedroom unit, it could be an issue, you know. The other issues that came up were health issues. You know, as you start to get older, I think the idea of sleeping in the same bedroom sometimes doesn't stay like it did maybe when you were younger. And, you know, for whatever reason, somebody snores or somebody has, you know, sleeping apparatus or anything like that. So these are all things that kind of came into play as we started walking through things over the last couple of years. We think the changes are positive. In the meantime, since last meeting, I had meetings with the fire department. It was the same with the first time. We sat down with the fire chief. We went back and forth on some things that he was adamant about having. We don't have a problem with it. It's a project that I know, especially being, you know, senior and you know, age restricted. It's a property that he's going to be at, and we understand that. And you know, it's something that we want to make, I guess, as smooth and as effortless for him as possible. So we took a couple things, and I think he's here tonight. He'll speak on that as well. There was a few things that he wanted changed. Overall, I think we had a pretty good conversation. I think this is a better project than what we already have approved. I mean, that other project is approved as is. You know, the water is there, the sewer is there. We could build that. The ironic thing is, as you know, the first time around, COVID hit. The second time around, when we're starting to revisit this, and you know, again, slightly nervous about where the economy is going to be. You know, to be totally honest with you guys. But you know, after talking to people in town, there's a need for the senior housing. This is a 40B project. To be honest with you, it was more confrontational the first time than I thought it was going to be. I challenge anybody to tell me that there's not a need for senior housing in Abington. If you're going to, then go talk to a senior who, you know, can't sell their house and they can't stay in Abington anymore. You know, the prices are too high. They can't stay in Abington. They're worried about taxing. They're worried about all the, you know, all those factors that kind of drive them from somewhere where they're used to staying, they're used to living, they're comfortable. Their bank is here. Their you know, community grocery stores here. They're familiar with the town, and they're at a point right now where there's no option for them, you know. For me, I actually, when we first brought this up, I thought it was a no-brainer. It's a 40B project. It's age-restricted, so it would contribute to Abington's, you know, Abington trying to hit its 40B capacity. It's town obligation to apply and, you know, achieve the affordable housing. The first time we came around, we were 7 units short. I mean, that was a little disappointing. You know, I wish it was something that we could have worked with the board and achieved those 7 units. I feel like that was something that probably should have been done. Since then, there's another project coming in, which is 0 Summer Street, I think. Abington's still under its threshold. It doesn't matter if you're 7 units or what. If you're under that threshold, they can come in and put whatever they want. It would have given this board a lot more leverage, I think, to be able to combat that project, you know. And for me, I mean, the senior housing part of it should have been a no-brainer. I feel like it is a no-brainer. I mean, if you talk to the people in town right now, you talk to the selectmen, there's a number of issues that come up. One of them right now is people are starting to complain about taxes. Number 2, there's no senior housing. Number 3, we need a fire station. Number 4, the brand new high school and school that we built are already crowded, you know. So this adds no bearing to the school system. The water and sewer is going to be minimal. It's not like we're asking for a family-style, you know, 40B project. I think overall the project, you know, is a good project. It was something we were happy to present. Obviously, we build in town. We've built in town for years. You know, the other members of my group are Abington guys. You know, they're my father, who's here, my brothers who are here. You know, we've contributed a lot to the community throughout our life. It's not something that we wanted to present to this board with an idea that, oh yeah, this isn't going to be good for the town. You know, I mean, we live in the town. We pay taxes in the town. Our business is in town. You know, this is something that we consider responsible building. We think it would be, and should have been, even from the first group of meetings, something that should have been welcomed. You know, I mean, they're still talking now about, yeah, we need senior housing. They're talking about converting schools to senior housing. They're talking about, okay, well, you know, with people complaining about taxes and the need for a fire station and the need for, you know, things like that, I don't know if there's gonna be room for senior housing, you know, and good luck asking the taxpayers who are already complaining about, you know, where their taxes are to come up with money at this point for senior housing. You know, when we're offering to build the senior housing privately, it'll cost the town nothing. At this point now, the town can sit back and we'll actually collect tax revenue from this. You know, and again, there's no burden, there's no burden to the school system. You're not adding, you know, kids to the school system. You're not overburdening the water or the sewer. You know, you're dealing with, you know, 1 or 2 people in these units. You're not dealing with 5 or 6 people. You're not dealing with 5 or 6 cars. I mean, you know, when I have my kids at home, my driveway looks like a used car parking lot. I mean, I have, you know, you have 4 or 5 cars. This is, you know, you're dealing with people here that are going to have 1 car, you know, maybe 2 cars if they're husband and wife, if they're not widowed or anything like that. You'll have 1 or 2 vehicles in this. The other thing, after talking to a number of different people, they felt like this project, you know, why so much parking? I've never seen so much parking for this, for a project like this. You know, you're talking about people that are going to have 1 car, some no cars, you know, 2 cars at max. You know, you're talking about people that, you know, not the affordable aspect, but the other people that are going to pay market rate. You're talking about people that are at a point where, you know, they're thinking about retirement. They're not spending all year up here in Massachusetts anymore. You know, some of these people are taking an opportunity to, you know, after Thanksgiving, you know, they're spending 3, 4, 5 months, you know, down in Florida or someplace else where it's warmer, where they're, you know, where they thought they would spend their retirement, you know, and that type of stuff. So, I don't know, I guess a little bit frustrated that it took so long the first time. I think it was a lot of give and take. I actually probably should have addressed the board much sooner. It's something I'm not comfortable doing, to be honest with you. I get nervous speaking in front of people. But, you know, again, it's something that I think me and my family should have stood up probably ahead of time and just kind of said that, you know, this isn't a bad project. And for somebody to come up with something bad about it, I challenge them to come up with something bad. There's a need for it. It's a good fit in town. It's a great location for it. I don't see it burdening too much, you know, and for us, it's responsible building. You know, I know there's people in town that want to stop building, and there's too much building, and I understand that. I mean, but, you know, building is going to happen, and it's for me, from my point of view, it's you guys' decision to encourage responsible building. You know, building in a good way for the town, and again, me and my family as taxpayers in town, who have been here our entire life. It's a good project. It's something we're proud of. And again, for me, there's a need for it. I don't think anyone could say otherwise, you know. So the changes, I think, make the project better. It wasn't something, believe me, I didn't want to come back here. I mean, it cost me a fortune the first time to try to get this thing approved. You know, much longer than I anticipated, to be honest with you. And I was disappointed. I thought that everyone would kind of see this, and I thought that everybody would say, you know what? Yeah, it's a 40B project, and it's a good project for the town, and it'll help the town achieve its affordable housing numbers. That was the hope, and somewhere along the line, I think we, you know, and again, it was probably half my fault. I probably should have got up and kind of given you my point of view and my family's point of view ahead of time, you know. And I know 40B projects are at times controversial. I don't see where this is. I don't see at all where this is. You know, I see that this is a project that helps Abington achieve its affordable obligation, you know, and I think it helps Abington in a good way achieve that, you know, because again, it doesn't overburden the systems that the town runs off of. So that's it in a nutshell for me. Here for any questions. I do have Dan Bailey here and Gary here. If anybody has any questions that I can't answer, which if they're too technical, I may not be able to answer them. But
I'm sure you do.
that's kind of where I stand. So
Could I say one thing? Just as a member on the board at the time when this was going through, it is a 40B project, and it's not something that you approve right away. You have to look at everything. that's the reason why it went on so long. We have another one that we're doing right now, and it's gonna go on for a while too.
Yeah.
This is not a project that you just say, okay, go ahead and build it. I mean, it's a 40B, we, as a town, have a right, we have lawyers, you have lawyers, you have design people, we have people look it over. That's what the whole 40B thing is
Understood.
about, so.
Understood.
As a member of the board at that time and actually voting on it, it was a long project, but we did the right thing. We went through everything, whether you liked it or not, we did the right thing.
But I'll be honest with you, this project is nothing like that other project that you're dealing with.
Well, this was
They're
the
both
first one.
40Bs.
This was the first
It
one,
was,
though.
but they're both 40Bs, but nothing like that.
Well, I didn't want to get into that.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no,
Yeah,
no
we're not going to
problem.
get into that,
Right.
by the way,
Right.
so, yes.
So-
I'm just talking
So,
about this one.
Mr. LaPointe, could you, there were a few things that were very, very important to the board, and can you just confirm that those things are not changing, which are, at the entry, there was screening, you have agreed to do screening at the house right here, and then you've agreed to do screening at the houses across the street.
Yeah.
And that's not changing, correct?
None of that's changing. So as a matter of fact, obviously, we're not even close to getting a shovel in the ground right
Yeah.
now. I've already done most of those. I've dealt with all the neighbors. I think I see a lot of them here. I've personally talked to them.
So you can confirm that there's, the plan doesn't even show
The majority
the
of them-
street, so you're not making any changes from the wetlands
No.
forward?
No.
So you're only really making changes to the actual building site,
And again,
correct?
yep,
Okay.
correct. And again, those neighbors, with the exception of one, that stuff's already been done.
Okay. And the other thing that was important was you're not changing the entryway, the access road that's going in from the street. You're not making that more narrow, because at one time it was too narrow. We thought it was too
Yes.
narrow.
Yep.
But you're not changing the width of that?
Not at all. And again, and to Ms. Negrelli's point, I mean, we had a lot of back and forth in this. And this isn't something that, we're coming in after the fact trying to, do something that's not, not on the up and up. I just, as a board's refresher, we also have purchased that utility and access easement
Okay.
for the emergency.
Mhm, right here,
That's
yeah.
staying intact. That was something that when I'm meeting with the fire department today, we went over. That was actually one of the fire department's, not request, but when I was trying to figure out if I should spend the money on buying that from the town, it was something that he really wanted to see and thought it made a better project. And at that point, we didn't have a problem doing
Okay. And then will you have to go back to conservation, do you think?
I'm hoping not to have to
Okay.
go back in front of them.
So you're not going to, you won't need any kind of...
We're not doing anything different with
You
the
won't need any
wetlands.
waiver or anything from them you're not filling any, or
No.
affecting any more wetlands?
No.
Okay.
No.
So the one thing that I will remind the board is that they did have this bridge. I thought there was only one bridge. You said bridges.
Yeah, the
There were
bridge
two?
connecting, it might have been one bridge. I'm not
I think it was just
100%
one.
sure
It
of
was
that.
one
It
bridge.
was one
Yeah.
bridge, and
Yeah.
the board wasn't thrilled with the
Right.
bridge. I can honestly say. This seems to me to be a better layout with having the one building. Why did you do the bridge? Was there was a reason for access or something?
The reason was, when I hired the architect, and believe, I don't want to throw anybody on the bus, but it was the same guy that did the designs of these buildings. I thought they were nice-looking buildings. I knew that he had a track record, so I sat with a couple guys, and he was an older feller, and I hired him. I thought, and to be honest with you, we weren't thrilled with the bridge
Okay.
idea either. And the idea of having it for a common area, I think, fit better. And again, after talking to the fire chief, which I think he's going to stand up and agree, it's less confusing as far as, okay, when you show up on site, what building is it? And
Also,
so.
does elderly housing need a bridge? I mean, it's just weird.
No.
Yeah.
So
And-
it's a better setup, and I don't know if you noticed, we moved one of the elevators down so that we're anticipating a lot of use from the senior center, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And that was one of the reasons that we didn't have that common area before. I thought maybe the senior center would be able to kind of
Mhm.
provide that, but after sitting with a number of different people, they want it in the building. They want that area in the building.
And then the only, I have little questions, but the only other thing was right in front of building, where it says Building A, right here, there seems to be this large space, there's no parking. Is this going to be landscaped?
It is going to be, but
Okay.
I believe it's going to be landscape. I mean,
It's uplands.
Yes, it is, and it would probably be drivable if we had to get somebody in there. I mean, there's a number of different areas, I think, this site isn't so packed that, you know, changes can't be made as far as the parking. I mean, there are other places where you could park, you know, so if, you know, if, for instance, you know, this gets approved and management has an issue, it's not like they're hamstrung on as far as, I mean.
But we could, since it's not noted on the plan, we could condition that there be landscaping, you know, landscaped greenery
Yep.
in front of,
Yep.
in the uplands?
Yep.
Okay.
The other issue, Amy, while you're talking about the landscaping, is after sitting, so I also sat with the building inspector this week too, just to kind of, I wanted his opinion on it, I value his opinion. Some of the things that he had said too, and I know this is a little bit off base, but as far as like the parking lot goes, Mr. Negrelli may, as a fireman, might be able to weigh in on this as well. They didn't like the idea of the landscaped islands in the parking area. They said it causes too much congestion. They don't mind the idea of the islands being laid out. They suggested maybe paint or something like a rolled soft berm where a fire truck could get over that easily.
You only have the one, right? Right here. You don't have any others, do you?
Yeah, but even the,
There's a few that stick out.
yes, exactly.
Oh, like this, like
Yeah,
like the sidewalk and
And
this?
they felt like it might make it a softer transition
Okay.
and as well, you know, the building inspector weighed in on the fact that some of the seniors may not like, you know, they'd like something a little gentler, especially if they're gonna park in some of those. They don't want a curb or something like that they're gonna catch tires on, or, I know that's a small change, but it kind of went with the landscaping and layout part. So overall, I think it's a better project. It wasn't something, believe me, it wasn't something that I wanted to have to bring back here. You know, it was something that, you know, but I do think it was important enough, and I do think the changes are overall good enough to warrant having to come back and visit with you guys again. I do welcome your suggestions on it, because, again, it's a project that's going in town. It's a project that, you know, we want to see happen, and we want everybody to kind of, you know, it's something we want everybody to, I guess, be on board with, you know, and that's kind of important to us.
Any other questions from the board? Yeah.
What about the bedroom additions? The other things they're asking for?
I was going to ask them to maybe go down the list of
Oh,
what they're
okay.
asking for. I just had those general questions.
Yeah.
I have more technical
I just
questions.
had a general question with the bedroom part of it. Was there any thought into not making them bedrooms? I know that scares some people in the sense that it becomes a two-bedroom unit, two people could live in there. I know what you're saying with the medical, you know, sleep, but I mean, was there any thought to doing some of those as just like maybe a den or an office compared to a second bedroom?
I hadn't thought of that, no. It wasn't something I thought. I just kind of thought they would either fall under the one-bedroom or two-bedroom category. I do agree with you in the fact that I do think it's going to be mostly the same people that are going to be in them, whether they use it as a bedroom or a den. I do think that's definitely possible.
I know it's basically the same layout or space-wise, but I know it's just, people get nervous when they hear, oh, it's a two-bedroom unit,
Yep.
it's a possibility, and then I know
Yep.
some people had said about the change.
To be honest with you, I hadn't thought of that. I do agree with bedroom in more of a family-style living, when all of a sudden you're talking about, but from the people that I've sat with, the people that I've dealt with, they don't anticipate this to be something that, you know, if you're 62 years old or older, you're not bringing roommates, you know, you're used to either living with yourself or your husband at that point. It's not something that we anticipate that being you know, something that's going to be really common, you know, so.
What did the parking go from? What was the difference of the parking from the last one to this one, the spaces?
That, I'm going to have to defer to one.
Okay.
It's the same,
Okay, that's what I thought.
plus one, went from 217 to 218.
218.
Wait, okay.
So, and again,
So even though you're increasing bedrooms, you're not increasing the parking?
yeah, and for the reason, Amy, of the fact that, again, if this was a family-style thing,
Yeah.
I would definitely think that would be necessary. In this case,
Do you have
I
the
don't.
sewer capacity, did you get approval for the sewer capacity for the additional bedrooms?
I haven't. I don't know if they conditioned it on bedrooms or not. I'm not sure of that.
Okay.
But,
I don't think there's an issue with sewer capacity in this town,
Okay.
so. Water's a different story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any need to, if there's no more parking, is there any need to revisit traffic studies or anything for the project?
No, because they're not increasing their parking at all.
Right, so
Yeah.
they're anticipating roughly the same number of people, just not with a little more space for each
Exactly,
of them.
yes.
One other thing has to do with the architecture. I like the drawing of the old structure, not the bridge, but the roof pitch appealed to me. Is there any particular reason they reduced the roof pitch on it? Is it expense, or just it's more common to have a lower pitched roof?
I believe the reason is because we're gonna put some mechanicals on the top of the roof, is that?
Two reasons.
Yep, sure.
Just introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, sorry, Gary Kane with the architectural team. I'd say there was two reasons. We were trying to match the same height of what was previously approved. There was drawings that there was a long process that I don't understand, but I think there was drawings that had a much taller building in them based upon the height that was approved originally. So we're matching the same height, so we don't want to increase it, and we wanted to keep. So we wanted to maximize the height of the building based upon where you were approved for the height. And then secondly, there was no real great scenario for the mechanical system, so we built sort of like a flat roof in the middle that you won't see, so we can hide some of the equipment. Typically, we're going to have a bunch of rooftop condensers, so we can place it, we can hide those. Overall, the original design was pretty super schematic. It wasn't really taken to that level of detail. I'd say that we're well into a schematic design, so that it's laid out. It's going to look quite close to the drawings that we had submitted.
So the height of the building is about the same, and the roof pitch is lower. Does that mean the ceilings are higher?
We have pieces that will go up and down, so we just conservatively took the median height of the taller pitches to make those work.
Just make sure that you're at the maximum height regardless of the topography.
It was conservative. I was taking them based upon the taller roofs.
On the elimination of the basement, is it going to be on a slab? Is that what we're looking at?
That is correct.
Is there a reason?
Basement.
Is there a reason for that?
I don't know why there was a basement originally. There's no need for it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's a tremendous amount of square footage that I would not, the mechanical
It
system.
is wetlands, wet there too, right?
Yeah, so there's no reason for that much backup house or storage or mechanical space in a building of this nature. It wouldn't,
I don't
not
even think
necessary.
storage was proposed. in
I don't think it
basements.
was
Nothing
either,
was.
but to your point, I mean, it just adds more square footage to a building that's already large. I would imagine the fire department would also agree with the fact that if that can be gone, it's one less area
One less thing to worry
that
about.
they have to worry about, and if anything did get put down there or whatever, this eliminates any possibility at all of that happening.
Does it affect the engineering plans for the original design of the foundation with the basement to now to have a slab? Are you going the same depth? Are you using the same type of support and the same type of steel support structure inside that foundation in a slab as you would have had when you planned to have a full-size basement in the building?
The foundation will be a lot simpler to build. With the excavation, it'll be shallower. We'll be sitting on the same type of spread footings we'll be using. The loading will be slightly lighter, just because there'll be less concrete for the walls. So I don't suspect I don't anticipate any different structural issues with it. It's a simplification, in my opinion.
So we're taking the bridge out between the two buildings. Structurally speaking, for that space, which is now called common area, I believe you said,
Correct.
does that change the dynamic of the foundation for that portion of the two buildings? Where you were originally going to have an opening, now you're going to have a closure.
Where the buildings are connected, there'll be a foundation wall that'll connect the two. 4-foot deep frost wall will perimeter that space, but again, I don't see any complications with that. It's quite simple.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing, Mr. Manning, and I know some of the board members had before with that bridge, there was going to be traffic that was going to be
Going through that.
Yeah, and one of there was, after listening to some of the concerns, pedestrians walking, cars coming, blind spots. It was something that we were kind of underway with already, and probably should have changed back then. And again, like I said, I was a little green when it came to knowing what we could change and what we should have changed.
Okay.
On the age, Glenn, is it going to be 62? Is it going to be 55?
Yeah, I think the hope is the 62, and again, a lot of as we started to get financing, one of the financing agencies is HUD. I believe they wanted the number of 62, and Dan, if you know more than I do on that,
Well,
way in.
yeah, I mean, it certainly does look like it's going to be 62. It's more likely that the financing programs are more robust, and HUD would be a very good partner. And one of the things that I mentioned in my cover letter when I wrote about a month ago, condition number 23, we've requested an amendment of that condition because what it says right now is no one under the age of 18 can occupy it. And they don't like that at all. Almost anything having to do with age is obviously very sensitive. And so what we request is a change to the condition that simply says that no one under 18 can live there unless they're a family member of a qualified member, which is somebody who's qualified by age. Actually, under HUD rules, sometimes you can qualify by disability as well. But there's a long list of federal rules about what a qualifying member is.
I'm sorry, what did you say for age, at the beginning?
18.
18?
Well, 62, it's going to be an over
62.
62 project, but we're trying to soften the language around people under the age of 18 so that they could live there if they're a member of the household of a qualifying member. Your classic example is a child whose parents are unavailable to them, and they move in with the grandparents.
What happens if it's a father who's 65, a daughter who's 45, and a child who's 15? Is that going to be something that could happen?
Yeah, probably could. I think extremely unlikely. It's not
Then
what I.
that, to me, that becomes not senior housing, but just
Yeah.
housing with an older person living there. That's my only
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no expert on this. This is Sean's Carpenter's area, but my experience is you see very, very, if any, children in this type of project. It's also not built for them.
Yeah.
They just don't have the amenities, so it would not be an ideal choice.
Any other questions from board members? If not, I'm going to open it up to the public. Does anybody in the public have any comments, discussion? Yes, ma'am, if you could come up and...
Ann Riley, 262 Adams Street, Apartment 2. I think this is a great idea, having 4 rooms. I would advertise it as 4 rooms, not 2 bedrooms, because I live right now with a 1-bedroom, and I would love to have another room for my computer and all my office stuff, and I really think that it'd be better just to say it's a 4-room apartment, and that, to me, would be much more, I'd enjoy that much more than what I have now. And especially COVID, I would like to have had 1 more room to walk around in, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments? Yes, Chief?
Thank you. Just to follow up, because the last time I was here, that was the first time I really saw this new proposal, and there had been a few initial concerns after not seeing it. In this, after meeting with Mr. LaPointe, he brought us back up to speed because 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, that was an eternity ago, and not only just with everything we've been through, but we've seen many, many building plans come through our department, and I had forgotten about half these details on this. So a lot of the initial concerns I had looking at this again, we actually had spent a lot of time with Mr. LaPointe addressing it back then. The access, I had actually forgotten about the emergency easement corridor that he had purchased for a second way to get into the back. So, we actually had that covered. They had added additional hydrants that we had already gone over this before, and there's really no changes on this plan whatsoever. He kind of had to bring me back up to speed. For the combining the 2 buildings into 1, we did have 2 requests on that, which they have granted initially. We just got, which was to have the fire alarm control panel easily accessible once you first get in there. We have other properties in town where they're hidden off of rooms and closets, and it just takes time. So that'll be right out there, and it won't be just like when you walk in this building down here, the panel, everybody walks by it except us. We look at it. So that'll be taken care of. And the other thing was to add in an additional interior stairwell in that front lobby, in that central lobby area, which would also have a fire department standpipe. A standpipe is basically, it's a fire hose connection directly in the building. It's like a hydrant. There are already at least 3 on this building as is. They're required by code, but they're kind of off into the ends and the wings. We wanted a central one because really that's going to be the hub of activity, not only for the residents living there, but also for us. We're going to go there, find out what's going on in the panel, and if it says, 3rd floor, there's a smoke detector, there's a sprinkler going off, there actually may be a fire. At that point, if we take that central stairwell up there, we have a special hose pack that we bring. This is literally high-rise type firefighting with this type of a structure. And we can go and attach the hose directly at that point of entry and attack any fire in most of the units from that point. If additionally, we could use the other ones as well. So they were able to, in relatively short time, come up with a quick plan to include that. They actually added a complete stairwell with those standpipes that go the entire middle portion of that building. I have a feeling we're not going to be the only ones using it. If I lived there, I'd probably take the stairs instead of an elevator myself if they're right there. So thank you for that. Again, meeting with him, with the building inspector, we met the other day. We covered a lot of the concerns that we had. They immediately met them. They brought us back up to speed on our concerns. I actually like this project. I think combining the 2 buildings into one is a safer building from our standpoint. I'm very impressed, to be honest with you. So the fire department at this point supports this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Chief,
Yes.
oh, sorry. So I think we discussed this last time, I can't remember though, and it's just here, so I'm going to ask. So there is this rubble pile on the plan that goes across the emergency access. Will that impede access?
The language that we have on our plans, and they may be on that too, it basically says, what does it say?
It says rubble pile, and it's like hatched, and it goes from here to here, and it goes right across the...
Right where your finger is, what's that? What does
That's
that
your
say?
emergency access.
What does that say?
It says,
Don't mind, I'm sorry.
emergency access drive to senior sentinel, final design to be coordinated with public safety.
Correct, so that verbiage we're comfortable with because the final design means that,
Okay, so
which
you're going to
includes
remove
plowing it,
rubble?
maintaining it,
Okay,
possibly put in an emergency access gate only for us or, PD or like that.
okay.
So it's not a general cut through. Again, these are details we can work out, but by having that verbiage on there,
Okay.
that allows us, pretty much an elasticity to change and improve that as we go.
Okay, thanks.
So Chief, you all said with the height of the building and also the access around the building, driving to that parking lot with all the apparatus?
We forgot about that second egress access point. That kind of changes things. If it was only coming from the front, yeah, we had a concern around it,
Right.
which is when we met a couple years ago, that was the same
I
thing, so
remember
they
the
added
thought
that.
about that, yeah, we weren't sure about
Correct.
what's going to be.
As well as there's a large turnaround area in the front portion of that.
Yeah.
We eliminated some, with the theory that we're going to be, if the ambulance has to get in, we can get out there quickly.
You can go
They did a
from-
lot of work last time on this. They've already addressed a lot of this for us.
All right, good,
And none of that has changed on this plan.
excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Anybody else from the, yep, Alan?
Helen Delaney, 18 Washington Street. As a resident, I fully support this project. I've lived in Abington most of my life. I deal with seniors all the time. I'm on the Abington Housing Authority. I deliver Meals on Wheels. People are just looking to downsize and stay in Abington. I've lived here most of my life. I want to stay in Abington. If I want to move, I want to be able to stay here. I'm also on the Abington Affordable Housing Trust, and Andy has a letter
Yep, I'm going to read
that we
I got a couple
presented
of
to
things
him
there that
to
I'll
be
reading.
read tonight as well. We were in support unanimously for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, then I do have 2 emails that I received, one, as Ellen said. Oh, I'm sorry, Ron.
Ronald Howe, 149 Walnut Street. Just a quick question, just wondering if this is approved, will this increase our affordable housing stock to about the 10% or at the 10% that we would need to be declare ourselves a safe harbor?
I don't know the answer.
I
No,
think so.
the unit count is staying the same,
Yeah.
so we're still pretty slim, short. 7 units, you said?
Yeah, it might have gone up.
Somewhere around there.
I don't think there's there's any other units that have gone on, so 7 units short. It'll make a big difference. It's still gonna be rental?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's.
But you also said that new stats coming out, it could be more,
Oh, yeah, it will be,
remember?
Yeah. definitely.
Okay, so I have two emails that I received. Dear Chairman Burbine, at the March 8th, 2022 meeting of the Abington Affordable Housing Trust, the members present unanimously voted to support the substantially modified affordable senior housing project proposed by Abington Investments LLC at 1015 Plymouth Street, Abington, Mass. The trust feels that this project is very much needed in our town, especially for those seniors already living in Abington who wish to downsize and remain here. Please share this letter of support at your March 10th, 2022 meeting. Thank you sincerely, Abington Affordable Trust, Ken Coyle, Chair, Pam Howe, Vice Chair, Ellen Delaney, Mike, can never say his last name, Mike Z, and Jennifer Brady Sullivan, absent. So you put that in the record. And then I received this email today from Karen Bowen at 937 Plymouth Street, Abington. I cannot attend tonight's meeting due to having a 30-foot oxygen leash, and the board is not sharing the meeting on Zoom. Therefore, I'm giving you my opinion to be taken into consideration at tonight's meeting. I am familiar with 2 past situations, one at the senior housing on Shar Avenue, where younger relatives came to visit and never left, and this was before COVID hit, the shortage of housing and rental prices going through the roof. I know as a grandmother or older parent, I wouldn't ask my 18-plus grandson visitor to leave when their allocated visit time was up with no place to go. I do not know why Glenn is asking for this change and what his reason behind it is. This is not what age-restricted senior affordable housing is for, not 18-plus guests, and there would be no way to monitor their stay. Thanks for taking my comment into consideration, Karen Bowen. Okay.
So can you, so would HUD be okay with a condition that the underaged person can only stay for certain amounts of time?
That's what we have right now.
We do have that now?
Yeah.
I thought it was completely forbidden.
I think stay up to 3 months.
What about 12 months? Would they be okay with that?
I don't know.
I just did one,
Mr.
I just
Chairman.
did one for 12
Mr.
months,
Chairman.
consecutive.
Do we have to do we have to close the floor? Or
No, not yet.
Okay, all right, just checking.
Yeah.
Because I did just do one for 12 months. I don't know if that would work. We did note that this could be an issue for them at the first hearing, but they were okay, I think, because we limited the time, but now.
It was
that-
3 months in any 9-month period is what.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that limitation now isn't even working for them.
Yeah, and I mean, those, the challenges, those are the kinds of rules that are constantly changing. Again, I'm not even going to pretend to say I know much about this, but I could find out.
Yeah, it might be worth it. I also had just 3 questions about the plan. I can't figure out what this box is and what this rectangle is. Right here. What's this square here and what's this rectangle here?
It's the subsurface drainage.
Okay, and then, will you be removing the rubble that's in where the snow storage is? Like, because do you own all of this now, or you just own
Just
the access?
Yeah, 'cause that's a pickleball.
So you don't own, you can't do anything with this rubble here, really?
Beyond wherever that property line falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this was,
Unless the town, something the town wanted on or whatever, I do think it probably does offer a little bit of those pickleball courts that are used like crazy.
Okay.
I mean, so I guess that would be a question that, I don't think we'd have a problem dealing with the town if it was something they wanted gone. I don't think it would be an issue, especially with machinery out there.
and this snow storage area right here was on the last plan, correct? It was here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so Tetra Tech has reviewed that, and they think that that's adequate, so. And those were my only questions on the plan that I can see. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Thank you.
So how do we proceed?
So I think that what we do is, we have to issue an amended decision, a revised decision based on the modification. So I have to I have to put that together, and then you guys have to vote on that.
Vote on that.
And so, I don't know if we have, do we have plans that show the 2 points that the fire chief made about where the exact panel is and the stair? I'm assuming that there's a plan that shows the stairwell, right? And there's a plan that shows the central fire stand, what do you call it,
Standpipe.
Standpipe?
Yep, standby.
And it shows that that's in there? So I don't have to condition it? It's already on a plan?
They presented these to us.
Yeah, we have
this
these two,
morning.
okay.
Okay, yeah, they're right here.
Okay,
I left my glasses there.
okay. And it shows what
Yep,
you need?
yes,
Okay.
correct, yep. We're-
Okay,
We're
so-
satisfied with the, yes.
So I'm really just, and Dan, you'll get me a list of the changes, right? A list of the actual things you need changed. And did your waivers change at all?
I don't think so. I had somebody looking at that.
Okay,
We
so-
didn't think so.
we'll leave this open, we'll leave the hearing open, and then at the next meeting, between now and the next meeting, Dan can get me, if there's any revised waivers that you guys have to vote on, you can vote on those, and then you can also vote on the decision,
Okay.
a draft decision,
Right.
and draft conditions. But I don't anticipate, I have to go through the old decision and find out if any of the conditions of the old decision are impacted by the changes.
That's
Other
gonna,
than-
that's gonna give you enough time at our next meeting to do all that? or-
Is your next meeting is April 14th?
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's not a problem.
No. It's not the next one.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
No,
next week,
no,
our
I
next
can't.
regular meeting, yes. yeah.
No,
0, no.
no, no. So April 14th?
How's that looking? April, is it busy?
No.
It is
Okay.
now.
Knock on wood.
Okay.
Just continues.
So, yeah, so we just need to take a vote to continue this
continue,
to
yep.
April 14th.
And then that way, if any new information comes in, you guys can consider it,
Consider that, right.
including the stuff that Dan will get me.
Yeah. Okay, so can we have a motion to continue this to April 14th at 7:05, because we have somebody already at 7 o'clock. Oh, no, we have somebody at 7:05, I think.
Oh. Right, perfect. Be
7:10.
7:10?
7:10, yeah.
I move that we continue this, further consideration of the substantial modification to the proposed 40B project at 1015 Plymouth Street to 7:10 PM on April 10th.
April
Or, excuse me, April
14th.
14th.
April 14th.
March 10th, April 14th.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get you what you need, and then we'll take a vote.
Yes, I'll have a decision ready, and then they'll take a vote. Just check on the HUD thing, check on.
Mr. Chairman, are we going over this from the planning board?
No, because it wasn't really on the
Yeah,
agenda,
I
so.
know.
To be honest with you.
Oh, it's not on the agenda?
Main lending,
I just gotta
we'll put it
say,
on.
since I did mention that at the last year.
Yeah,
Just
I
had to
think
do
we,
that, I told you so, remember?
Yeah.
Because I did say it.
Yeah.
yeah, we have one more item. We
I
have one
told you
more
guys
item.
that was gonna be a
There was
problem.
one.
Because you guys were agreeing.
We
with
do
that.
have one more item.
Yeah, we should have
And I told the last,
Yes, we did.
I just did one in Weston, and
Which
they
is the
agreed to it too, and I told them it was
continues
gonna be a
without
problem, but they went ahead
So,
anyway.
Like I said,
But if it's private financing, it's fine.
we
but-
still have some business here, so.
I know, I know.
Dan, we're still doing business. so can-
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you.
You guys can
Your phone's
go.
on, Dan. Your
Phone,
phone's
your
on.
light's on.
flashlight on.
There you go.
Next on the agenda is Lamb and Tiku Nguyen, 207 Bedford Street. And I'll read the notice. The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 10th, 2021 at Abington Town Hall, 500 Glenrose Way at 7 o'clock p.m. on the petition of Lamb and Tiku Nguyen, 207 Bedford Street, Abington, for special permit under 175-40C4 to construct an apartment building within the TC zone at 207 Bedford Street. The property is located on Assessor's Map 23, Lot 25, in the Transitional Commercial District. Andrew Leverall, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals, and this was continued to September 9th, 2021, then continued to November 18th, 2021, and then continued to tonight, I believe. Is that how we proceed? So they're looking to withdraw this.
Without prejudice.
So, we have a motion to allow that?
I move that we allow the request to withdraw the proposal for affecting 207 Bedford Street in Abington without prejudice. And that means that it's not on a future agenda, right? It's just gone.
Yeah, go ahead.
They
They
have
can refile.
Right, they have to refile.
Is there a second? Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Rich, then you had something to say?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, Amy, when we have the 75 Dale Street, that you could be here for that. Just
Is
wanna-
that on the 14th?
I don't know when it is.
Yeah, I
It's
thought you
the
said
14th,
you-
right?
Continue it to the 14th.
Okay, unless they continue it again. No, I just think that's something we would need you for, I have a feeling. All right, very good.
Okay, anything else?
This Davis Square Associates?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So, does your agenda list old business, new business?
Yep.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
That's
Oh,
number one.
good.
Yep.
Great. So this would be new business, and this is an administrative act of the board to vote to accept the proposal. Once the proposal is accepted by this board, if you'll notice, Davis Square, they put a range, I think it was 9 to 14.
Yeah,
We would have them deposit 9, and then, you know, if they do, if for some reason Davis Square charges more, then they can supplement the amount. But that, whenever there's a range, we just recommend that they deposit the lower amount.
Okay.
And Davis Square is going to look, Judy Barrett, who is the housing consultant for this project, she recommended Davis Square. I work with Davis Square a lot on these 40Bs. And what we're looking for is for Davis Square to analyze the canyon effect, as you may. Sean described it as a canyon effect of the two buildings
yeah.
in that narrow roadway. So, so I think it's really important that we have an architect on board for our peer review.
Okay.
And that's something that Tetra Tech does not provide.
This would be a supplement as part of our review.
Yes, it's a second peer reviewer. So sometimes when you have 40Bs in front of you, you can get a different peer reviewer for each subject. So you could have an engineer from one firm, a traffic person from one firm, you know, a wetland person from one firm. I tend to prefer to have one firm, you know, one engineering company do everything, and that's why I recommend Tetra Tech, but they don't do architecture, so.
So,
And again.
And we are, on the 17th, we're scheduled to do traffic. So there is time for the architectural peer review to do his magic.
you know, they've done the engineering study for traffic, but the architecture review would also review what's going to happen, you said, in that canyon, that.
The buildings.
The buildings or the traffic corridor?
No, the buildings. So he would be looking at whether it's possible to step those buildings back and not have this straight facade and instead have terracing, so the buildings would go back possibly. But those are the kind of things that he looks at and makes suggestions
And I know
about.
that the parking, the
Yeah.
angled, or the parallel parking.
Parallel parking.
Yeah, that's, Sean has already opined that.
Sean's on that, okay.
That's engineering, so that's Tetra Tech.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that is, all right.
And I think you'll remember from the last meeting that the fire department had some issues with that too. So,
Yes.
and they heard that, so
Yeah,
they could come in
Just
with
want-
something else.
make sure we cover that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, remember, when we do 40Bs, this is, again,
Oh,
a long process, and
Yes.
I know Mr. LaPointe was making his point there, but if we didn't do these things, it would be, we wouldn't be
Well,
doing
there's
our
no
job.
planning board doing their review, right? We're
No, you're
basically
doing
standing-
everything.
Yeah, we're standing in the shoes of the
You
planning
are.
board and
And the
the zoning
Conservation
and the
Commission
conservation.
with regard to local, the
Right.
Board of Health, sewer, water, all that stuff.
So it's not going
So
to be
it-
done.
No, nothing.
It's a long project, I know he had his frustrations there with us,
Yeah.
but we did our job, and
Yep.
that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yep.
That's why we have Amy, thank God.
Yeah. So do we have a motion to accept this proposal from Davis Square Architects with an amount of $9,000?
Yeah, for now.
So motioned.
Is there a second? Is there a second by Dave? Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, that's it, right?
That's it.
We have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Oh, sorry.
Would you like to schedule a date for the special?
What?
This bylaw review stuff?
Well, I'm just concerned about one thing there, so really, the other thing's marijuana stuff, but it's just that, the apartments,
How long do you think this meeting will go on next Thursday?
That could go.
I don't know, honestly.
We could put, the only thing is if we wait till our April meeting, town meeting is already gonna be over, so we.
Oh, so you put it on at the end?
Yeah, so can we put it on for
Planning
the?
board, I know that they went through these on Monday night.
We did, yes.
Did they agree to the change, does anybody know if they agreed to the changes that were suggested?
Some, I think they kicked over till the fall town meeting. There was a little about it. the other
do we
night.
know if it was the 12 units, proposal 3?
So maybe what you could do is see which ones are still outstanding, and then we won't have to talk about all of them, because
Yeah.
some have been removed, yeah.
Because again, we're talking the battery and
The
the
battery,
storage.
we recommended the battery not go forward.
Right, I think they took
Oh,
that
okay.
one, I think they took that one off,
Good.
and there's
They
a
have.
few others that they took off, I think, so.
Okay, good.
So we really should go over,
Yes, we'll go over what
touch
they've already.
bases with it.
Yeah,
So this
all
is
right.
gonna be reviewed at the end of next meeting,
Correct,
next week.
yeah, but it's not gonna be this extensive, because some of them have been removed.
And have anything removed that doesn't need to be talked about.
Correct,
Okay?
all right.
You want that?
No,
motion?
we don't need a motion, we'll just put it on the agenda.
It'll be posted though, yeah, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Cassie, I'll check with Liz to see if the planning board voted on the comments that I sent over. On
Yeah,
these
then we can get a
vendor
clean,
law changes.
can get a clean copy of what has been proposed.
Thank you for keeping us on task.
Yes, yeah. All right, now we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
In a second. Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? That's unanimous.